Hey everyone, I'm Travis, and in this video you're going to see me turn an 8-foot long box into a 7-foot shlong box. Enjoy. Okay, so here is the box in question. I believe it's a 68-69 long box. It doesn't have the reflectors in the backside of the bump, which is what I wanted. I think it looks a little bit nicer. It's kind of clean. It just lets that bump carry all the way through the truck. Only problem was these big old rusty quarters, but I was able to save the ones out of the original truck, so no big deal there, kind of a win-win. As far as the Bumpside goes, I eyeballed the tape line off the front edge and then simply just transferred over with a ruler and a Sharpie 12 inches to the other side. Obviously ran my tape line back on the other side. The important part about when you run tape lines or marks or whatever is knowing what side of the line to cut on. That can make your life pretty bad if you cut an extra 2 inches out of this thing. Always error on the side of caution. You'll see that as we put some arrows on this stuff and move on forward. This part here where I'm putting that little extra piece of tape, that is exactly what I'm talking about, being on the right side of the line. As you can see, there's a parallel line there. We wanted to keep the camper post, so we decided to do a step cut up top, which we'll show further down the line as well. If you are chopping this thing right down the middle, this probably isn't the video for you, but hey, maybe you'll have some fun in between. Either way, I'll say it now, this is the technique that worked for me. I don't know if it's the right technique, I don't know if it's the best technique, but it's the one that I use, it's the one that worked, and yeah, so there's a lot of other ways to do this, but this is the way I did it. I had to take, obviously, the box floor out, and then that also pulled out the cross member. I put my seam right in the middle of the two box bolts so that it is symmetrical to each box bolt, and I may be putting that cross member back in, but I don't know yet because the 7-footer is weird with the frame and blah, blah, blah. After you're done there, trust your marks, make some sparks, and make this thing happen. So this is kind of the part where it gets a little tricky. This is the part I struggled with when I went to do my research. Look at how happy we are. These boxes are made up of two pieces. The box sides are made up of two pieces. There's a top side and there's a bottom side. The top side rolls into and becomes the inner box side. That's what we're looking at here. The two are connected at this seam right here. Where's the finger? There it is. Look at that. How fancy. Okay, that's where it's connected. That's what makes this more difficult. If you're doing it right down the middle, like I said, this doesn't apply to you, but it applied here. And like I said, this was the part I struggled with visualizing when it came time to research this thing. This is what I'm talking about. As it was cut, you see that the camper post area is going to slide into the, I don't know, let's call it the female side of the box. It'll slide in, we'll weld the box side there, and then the outside will be, I don't know, I think it was approximately 4 inches more forward. There is a better look at the before and afters of what it looks like together, what it looks like apart. Hopefully this helps somebody, because like I said, I couldn't find anything on that when I went to do it. Once we were up and going, I couldn't do it on the jack stands anymore. I had to rig and jig it up onto a table. Kind of broke the table, kind of hurt my back, but hey, who cares? I was so excited, I put my finger over the lens and gotta give you guys a good look. Is that, what did I just do there? I don't know, who cares? Moving on. This was the stage I did my best to get my fitment right, my gaps good. I was able to pull them and move them and make that happen. The better your cuts are, the better you're gonna have it fit, the easier it's gonna fit for you. If your cuts are all over the place, you're gonna have a hard time fitting, but I think that just comes with practice and experience and blah, blah, blah. I had it tacked in, holding itself under its own weight, under its own power, and you can see there's a bit of a gaps here and stuff like that, but, excuse me, you were able to move that and do that as you go. This was just a super mock-up before things happened, just so I could have it in one piece. Obviously, go through and buff your paint off. That is a key step. I want to make sure everything's clean and good and everything like that as you move forward to work on. I always like having a clean surface. These next shots here, I threw them in just to show you guys how repetitive it is to tack, tap, tack, tap, tack, tap. This is where the MIG takes the advantage, in my opinion, where it's a lot faster. You can kind of move through it a lot quicker. But myself personally, I like the TIG machine a little bit more. As it was tacked in and holding itself there, this is kind of a look at what it looked like. It came together quite nicely. I probably would recommend moving the front seam a little bit closer to the front edge. It did kind of buckle on me, and you'll see a little bit further down the video. Wasn't too bad, nothing that a slide hammer can't fix, and both hammer and dolly, but all in all, it came out pretty cool as far as the tacking goes. But as we had it in one piece, we moved on to the frame because it was time to put the box on the frame. This is a part where I did a step cut. I highly recommend doing some kind of step cut, definitely not going straight up and down. That will cause a crack as it vibrates. I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, maybe you can get away with it, but I wasn't going to take a chance. I had to work around the front box bolt and the bead in the back of the frame by the leaf spring. Had about 18 inches to work with, but luckily 18 divided by 3 is 6, so we were able to offset our 12-inch cuts by 6 inches and blah blah blah. You can go back and look at that and pause it, and it kind of makes a little bit more sense, I think. Obviously take your measurements so you know where you're going to be, and once you cut this thing, you have no more reference marks, so just make sure you take your time with that step. And then this part's actually fairly simple. If you take out the same amount on both sides, look at that, another thumbs up. How happy are we? Yeah, if you just do it simply, and just the risk factor is a little bit higher, but it does fit together like puzzle pieces. Get yourselves the biggest clamps that you have in the shop and pull this thing back together. Like I said, just be confident in your marks and know what you're doing, and then chop, chop, chop. I used a mixture of MIG and TIG on this one. My MIG welder's not exactly where it needs to be right now, so I had help out with the TIG, but I will definitely be adding boxing plates and or a fish plate, but I think I'm moving the leaf spring mounts for another project, but that's going to come in another video, and that is a whole nother story. But this was our first look at the 7-foot shlong box. Super happy with how this thing came out, what it's looking like, how it's coming together. It is a perfect mix of practicality and hot rod, and I'm just a big fan of it. I think it's going to be exactly what I want. So that is why we built it that way, I guess. But funny enough, after it was all together, all the the hard work began. You have to obviously weld every seam that is a seam. There's no getting away from that. You can kind of drive yourself crazy because you think you've welded down the shop and back, but it's probably because you did. Again, I'm just stretching my welds out here. I don't know if that's the best technique in the world, but the part I like about metalwork is it's all based off the final result. If you use a 2x4 and a sledgehammer, it doesn't really matter. If it's straight, it's straight. If it's not, it's not. But this is what works for me, and this is kind of the way I like to do it. And then it came out good. I was really happy with it. I'm super excited to let it hit the streets, but here's the look. So the top side, after a little blocking, a little sanding, top side came out really good. The floor came out good. The bottom half, like I said, I would move that seam a little bit closer if I could go back, but like I also said, I say that a lot, but hey, who cares? A little bit of hammer and dolly and slide hammer, you'd be good. There it is, folks. 7-foot shlong box. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Stay tuned. Take care. Hug the wife. Kiss the kids. I don't know.